All right, it's the first part of January, and young Vincent Caggiano is back from a lovely visit with the family back in New York. And we are resuming the Beatles here. Which one is it today?
We're going to do "Oh Darling" by Paul McCartney.
Okay.
And before I begin, Steve, you and I were just discussing Facebook, and I'd like to make this statement that Facebook is an evil entity that is trying to take your soul. Right, now.
Now, what about YouTube? No, YouTube's all right.
YouTube is cool.
All right. Well, we've gotten that out of the way.
All right, so we're looking at "Oh Darling," and I want to preface this. You know, I have so many thoughts about the blues and how the blues works and how important the damn blues is, and it's like, we have to somehow revive this form because it brought so much richness to music. And I just had a thought today about it. One of the things I've said is that one of the things that is unique to the blues is that the 4 chord of a progression, the 4th step of a chord template, will be a dominant 7th chord. It will be a 7th chord. Okay, that's really important. And the 1, of course, is also dominant 7th normally. I'm doing this little introduction because we're going to run into some stuff in the song that I want to kind of like elucidate why some of this is working the way it is. So the thing about the blues is I had this thought this morning that it combines like traditional diatonic scales and harmony, but mixed with pentatonic harmony scale. Okay. All right. Now the thing about pentatonic is that it can be pulled out of a major scale. So you would think all the notes are the same. This way it will harmonize with that major scale. But the thing about the blues is that it's pulled out from a totally different. The pentatonic scale is pulled from a totally different key entirely. If I was in the key of E, all right, E major, and in the blues I would play an E minor pentatonic, which is tantamount to the key of G major. Okay. Right? Now here's the thing I want to explain. If I took my traditional E chord and I took 2 notes of the pentatonic up here, which is the G and the D, I get this chord. The well-known Hendrix chord, they call it, E7 sharp 9. Okay. Right? Now if I play an A major chord, what happens is if I can get that G in there again, then that gives me an A7 chord. Right. Ergo, you have the 7th chord in the root chord, and you have the 7th chord in the 4 chord. Okay. Okay. It's a really fascinating phenomenon. Defies music theory. I don't understand why it works, but I think there's a key to something really cool here, and one day maybe I'll discover it and actually come up with a whole different form based on the weird way that this works. Okay. Odd way that this works.
Now, let me ask the real beginners. The pentatonic scale can work within this, of course, but it also, in a way, it also is sort of going against it in a way.
Yeah.
You can't reverse those, but the pentatonic can work in. I don't know. I keep thinking of something like a bent note.
A bent note?
Yeah. Somehow that's almost, in a way, how it relates to the regular chord process.
Right. And that's what they call the blue note. Now that note isn't really purely defined as just a B flat. I mean, it's somewhere between an A and a B flat. You could kind of mess and cajole it any way you'd like. Yeah. And that infinite amount of possibilities between the 2 notes. So it's a microtone. Yeah, it's like a bent note. The blues, when you sing that, that's a convention to bend that minor third. Yeah. So it's coming back to the original third of the E chord, rather than minor.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, one quick thing, we did this long ago, but I want to say this again. There are 2 things I want to bring up from long ago. One in this song is European harmony versus blues harmony, which I'm going to point out in this song. And also, I want to go back to the pentatonic scale and say, what I always tell my lead guitar students, the pentatonic scale has 2 roots and 3 functions. Okay. The two roots in an E pentatonic scale, E minor pentatonic, or E and G. So it's not just an E minor pentatonic scale, it's also a G major pentatonic scale. All right? Or E minor pentatonic. All right? So those are the two roots, E and G. Now the three functions are, what I just showed you. The first function is major. Second function is minor. And the third function is blues, where the third function you'll have the E root again. And if you notice, in all three settings, each one has a different character completely. Yeah. All right? So, again, a pentatonic scale has two roots. If you do the traditional pentatonic shape like this, the minor root is in the first finger, the major root is in the pinky.
Right.
In the minor root, this is an A note, this is a C note. If I was in some chord progression, I don't care what it is, that had A minor as a root. That's great, a little accompaniment to that.
There we are.
All right. Okay, so I was saying, all right, now if I have a chord progression that relaxes on C major, that kind of Boston sound, right?
Okay.
And then finally, if I have a chord progression that is on A7, the A minor pentatonic serves as a blues scale now.
Okay.
Okay. And I say blues scale, I don't even include the so-called blue note. When I say that, I don't believe there's such thing as a blues scale with that little blue note in there. My theory is that that's just a passing tone, and they're adding it to it. But it's not a bona fide scale. I have very strict rules about what a scale actually is.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so, given that, all right, let's take a listen to Oh Darling.